was just thinking, oh, this pain, it's nothing. It's just that I haven't been riding for 2 months, so I'll just keep on riding and it'll sort itself out. Hi friends, welcome to a new video. Hope everybody is doing great. Today I would like to share with you kind of like a cautionary tale about an experience that I had recently that has led to me dealing with an injury right now. And I'm making this video in the hopes that you do not go through what I did and not make such a really stupid mistake that sets you back and doesn't allow you to train as you want to. So to share this experience, I would like to tell you a story of a ride that I went on that was an incredibly dope ride, and I really had a bunch of fun. I've been wanting to do it for a long time, but I did it without having the proper conditioning. So let's start with some context. I came back from Bali, where I had been living for 4 months, and I had been training really a lot, especially on the bike. I'd been getting into doing all-day rides, and I was absolutely, I would say, in top shape. I was training for an Ironman, so all my training was long endurance stuff, and I really felt like I was fit. I came back to Italy, and what happened is I got COVID, which basically made me go from 100 volume training to 0. I was going to ramp up. The last weeks in Italy were going to be the biggest weeks of my year, and I went back to 0, down to 0, and that went on for 1 month. After that month of complete stop, I had 1 more month in which I had to deal with pericarditis, and that meant basically just chilling on the bike in the city. I wouldn't go out for rides. I had to keep my heart rate under 120. So we are going on to 2 months with 0 activity, 0 training, 0 bike riding, 0 anything. Eventually, when I started getting better from COVID, I started feeling great, and I had this really clear moment where I just really felt good. I wanted to get on the bike again. I went for a couple of like longish rides, all flat, and I felt great. So I was like, man, I want to ride my bike. I want to ride my bike. I was riding my gravel bike. With Ironman out of the window, I was basically like, let's do whatever. Let's do what I feel like. And what I felt like, of course, was riding my bike for as long as I thought I could, because having been in Bali and experiencing all-day rides, in my mind, I was still conditioned for that. But unfortunately, what happened is I went on a super cool ride. This ride is from Turin up to Col, around like 50 kilometers from the city, 6 kilometers from the city. And it is very famous. And I decided to go there doing a gravel route with as much gravel as I could. So the setup for this ride was my trusty gravel bike, Giant Revolt Advanced, which is not a light bike. I think it's around 12, 13 kilos maybe. It's a heavy bike. Coupled with that, I thought, I'm going to do this epic ride. Why don't I take my drone with me, my cam with me? So I had all this extra gear. I think all in all, the bike weighed around 15 kilos. It is a lot heavier than the bikes that I was used to. I was used to using my tri bike, which is around 8 kilos, maybe even a bit less. I was used to using a super lightweight road bike. And the other thing is my gravel bike, I have not had a bike fit on it. So I had different shoes, I had a different saddle height, but I was feeling good. So I said, let's go on this ride. The ride starts from Turin. It goes along a trail along the river. You get out of the city and into a bunch of fields.
Today is the first day that I'm trying to do a longish ride after having pericarditis, after COVID. And I'm out on the gravel bike, of course. We are out of the city now after it's already been kind of like an hour. And we are out in the open, it's beautiful. The day is kind of grayish, but I was feeling it today, so it's all good.
From there, it is basically flat of kind of like semi-uphill up to Ponte del Diavolo, which is the Devil's Bridge, and it's above a beautiful river. And man, I was just taking my time. I was riding like super easy. I was just noodling, keeping my cadence up. I was just enjoying the day. I was so stoked to be outside. And truth be told, I was really like having 0 expectations for this ride. I was like, I'm gonna ride until I feel like it. And I just felt like riding. I just felt like going on. I didn't have like a mission. I didn't want to absolutely do this. Yeah, it would have been great to reach the Colle Braida, but I wasn't like super focused on getting there. So So after Ponte del Diavolo, I took a wrong turn and I ended up walking for quite some time actually.
Okay, so we are kind of halfway, walking a bit. Hopefully not for too much. Ride is super cool up to this point. Feeling good, beautiful places. So yeah, trying to make it through this little section where we have to walk, and then we're gonna be at the base of the big climb for the day, which is Colle del Lis.
Until I found a little road that brought me back to the main road. I got back on pavement and I decided to kind of like motor it a bit.
After a good half hour of walking, I was very lucky I managed to get an exit road so I could get back to the main road and head straight to the base of the big climb. Okay, so we have kind of stopped for lunch. We got some Coca-Cola, some apple things. I'm probably gonna get something else, but for now, this is all I can get. Check out this trick.
The climb is a like semi-long climb, but not like super hard.
C'est là, Alpa.
But the thing is, I had looked at the road climb. I started climbing up, and at one point I decided to take a left turn to go into a neighboring road, which was gravel. I already climbed around 300 meters, 400 meters, and I ended up having to go back down 400 meters until I reached this gravel road, which was absolutely beautiful. And I started experiencing some discomfort in my left ankle, like in the left calf and ankle. And this is before the main climb of the ride. The main climb is basically the same climb that you do on the road in one valley. This is completely done in gravel, so it's really, really challenging. It has some points where you have to get off the bike, you have to walk, other points where it's super, super steep, and others where it's actually like gravel road in the forest, like fire road.
Whew. So we are going up a route that is half road, half off-road. It is so dope, there's no one here. I'm stoked. It's really hard though.
And I was just thinking, oh, this pain, it's nothing. It's just that I haven't been riding for 2 months, so I'll just keep on riding and it'll sort itself out. I kept on climbing in the forest. I had some music in my ears. I was super, super hyped. I was pumped to be outside. Went through these beautiful roads until I reached up to the Col.
So we made it up here. It started raining. It was super cool coming up from these roads where there were no cars, nothing, super off-road, some hiker bike sections. Made it up here. It's raining, but it's all good. I'm super, super stoked to have done like the first track in my life. All my cannons have died. I'm stoked. It's cold. I need to get down from here. Let's go.
Of course, I had started for the ride way, way too late, so it was already kind of getting dark. So I headed down in the neighboring valley to start coming back home to Turin. I reached the town at the bottom, and here the problems start. My GoPro battery died, so I have no more footage of this, but I started getting like kind of like real pain in my left Achilles tendon. Not in the middle, like above where it attaches to the calf. And this was like, I started realizing that something wasn't right. So I stupidly, and this is where the mistakes start building up, I stupidly decided to keep on going back to Turin riding my bike. And it is not a challenging route because it's all flat, but it's with a 15 kilo bike, you still have to pedal. So I kept on pedaling even though I felt some pain, and this is something that is really a mistake. The problem is, I've had this so many times in my life that it's a really fine line between like pain that if you ride for 20 minutes, it resolves itself like magically, and pain that if you keep on riding, it just gets worse and worse and worse. And in this case, unfortunately, it kept on getting worse. So basically the ride turned out to be 130 kilometers with I think 2,000 meters of elevation. But the problem is, it's not the ride itself, it's the route, it's the bike, and especially my conditioning is what was lacking. So going from 100 fitness to 0, and then trying to take on a pretty long ride by it's 7 hours with a a 15 kilo bike with that elevation, that really put a stress on my joints. And this is very unfortunate because it is incredibly rare to get injured on the bike. And the other thing is I made a video with bike fit tips to not get injured, and unfortunately I had raised my saddle because I was just chilling in the city, and raising my saddle kind of felt great. So I raised it by even just, I think it was 2 centimeters. And apparently those 2 centimeters were too much. So this is a lethal cocktail: insufficient conditioning, improper bike fit, and a way too challenging climb with a way too heavy bike for what I was capable of. Like the day after, I basically couldn't ride at all, like I had pain, and the day after as well, so I decided to get it checked out. I had an ultrasound scan, and it turns out I basically caused something that's called Paratenonitis, which is the shaft on the outside of the tendon. It's not the tendon itself, but it's the shaft outside, which is inflamed, and it has some liquid in between the tendon and the shaft. So on a scale from 0 to 10, it's a 3 in seriousness. But the problem is, even though I decided to kind of like fix it straight away by resting and having some therapy sessions with my physiotherapist, which are very trusty physiotherapist I have, unfortunately the problem is not resolving itself. I'm still having to deal with it, and it's been 2 months. And that is not a great thing, of course. It is seriously impacting my bike riding because I can't even ride the bike. Absolutely no running. Some swimming, yes, but mostly I'm taking advantage of this by going to the gym and focusing on some strength. So the biggest takeaway for me that I hope to communicate to everyone who's watching this video is the concept and the truth that you have to train where you're at, not where you think you're at. So for me, in my mind, that was not a big ride. In my mind, a half marathon is not a long distance to run. But the truth, and this is the fundamental truth that endurance will bring up, is your conditioning, if it is not proper, it will cause some damage. It will cause an injury, or it will cause some overtraining. And this time and time again, it's happened to me. But unfortunately, this time it's been a harder lesson because it's a bigger problem. It's impacting my training so much. Normally it's just like some running pains that end up in not running and focusing on cycling. But this time, even cycling is out of the equation. So like, it's a big lesson for me, and I hope to share it with you guys, that overuse injury is the name of the game. But in this case, in this personal case, I was complicit in making something that could have been nothing, making it an injury by improper conditioning and not listening to my body. Especially, I didn't listen to my body. I should have swallowed my pride, realized that I had been lying down for 2 months. I had been sitting on the couch for 2 months. Imagine what happened to my muscles, to my tendons, to my whole situation in the body. I went through a stressful period for my body with COVID. So I should have incrementally gone back to riding, first off with my road bike, with my lightweight road bike, which has the perfect bike fit, and taking it easy, and then after a while going on a massive ride with a really, really heavy bike. And the biggest problem is with overuse injuries, what you gotta do is rest. And resting, for me, but I know for a lot of people, is the hardest thing to do. I'm lucky right now that I'm focusing a lot on work, but I gotta admit, for someone like me who values like every day, even just, you know, cycling 20 minutes, 1 hour, just for the overall life quality, not even for the training, it is seriously impacting my life quality. Why am I making this video? First off, because I hope you see some value in me sharing this mistake that I made, and that it might relate to maybe a period in your future that you might be in the same situation, and it might help you avoid making the same mistake and being sidelined for even more months, because now it's a total of 4 months that I haven't been able to train properly or even just ride like I used to be able to. And I seriously don't know how it's gonna pan out because I'm still dealing with this. I think it's getting better now, but I'm not sure. It kind of like gets better, but then it just comes back. Achilles tendon is really something boring to deal with, this I gotta admit. I don't have like crazy amounts of pain, but as soon as I get back on the bike for anything more than 1 hour or any even simple climb, it just pops up. So it's like, it's not crazy amounts of pain, but I'm not making it better. So right now that it's basically winter and I'm not like preparing for any races, I gotta just chill out and focus on other things. What I'm trying to do to fix this, I think I'll make a completely separate video once I've healed it. But basically I'm doing a combination of red light therapy, so I'm getting as much red light as I can on the tendon, which supposedly promotes healing. I'm doing electrical muscle stimulation up on the calf. I'm also doing some TENS, which is basically like a micro electrical current going through a tendon. That really seems to help actually with pain. I'm rolling out the calf daily. I started recently because I'm always kind of like not really sure if it's helping or not, because sometimes it makes my muscles even harder if I roll them out. And one last thing I'm trying that a friend of mine suggested to me is I'm flushing it. So basically I'm putting an elastic band really tight around the foot and the ankle, moving, just getting some mobility on the foot up and down, doing this for 1 minute and then releasing the elastic, and that supposedly helps to remove the old blood from the Achilles tendon, which is one of the hardest places to get blood flow. It has very little blood flow, and that is, I believe, to be the reason why it takes so long to heal, because there is not really a lot of blood flow, and it helps bring in new blood to flush out the inflammation. So let's hope these things work. So yeah, this video, how to get injured. Don't do this, don't do what I did. So don't do crazy volumes just from one day to the next without proper conditioning. Take care of your body, respect your body. It's a lesson that I keep on learning day after day after day, time after time. Listen to your body, respect your body, and take care of it. Like, our body is not our enemy. This is a beautiful thing that someone told me on Instagram. Our body is not our enemy. Our body is our friend. Our body is telling us stuff. So if our body is sending us signals that it's in pain or it needs to rest and recover, personally, I'm deciding to listen to it and to not push through and be very mindful about this. So that's it for this video. I hope you guys are healthy and fit and keeping on training, and that you found some value in this story that I hope never happens again. I'm going to be trying to keep you updated with how the injury is progressing and how I can get back to training, hopefully as soon as possible. If you like this video, please consider giving it a like. It helps tremendously with the boost of the videos so that other people can discover this stuff and maybe learn some valuable lessons. Subscribing to the channel also helps, and I will catch you in the next video, guys. Thanks for watching.